Hello, everybody. Welcome into my latest live broadcast. It's Sunday. It is the 14th of May, 2023. Why did I just do that? I don't know. Been making a lot of videos lately, and in every video I leave a marble. And I think I only have a few marbles left. I might have to take some time off and start collecting some marbles. I'm losing my marbles. Hey guys, welcome in. Today, we're gonna follow up on the repair video I was showing yesterday. Now, the repair video is gonna go through some editing, so it's taken down for right now because there's a lot of other dialogue that's unnecessary. Just because we hang out, I enjoy talking with you and such, so for other people watching the video later, they don't care about that, right? So I'm gonna try and trim that video down to just the basics. But if you didn't catch it yesterday, basically, a viewer bought one of the AceMagician PCs that I have reviewed here, the AD03. Now, I don't have any relationship with AceMagician monetarily. They will send me a computer, I will review it, and that's the deal. When we're buying these computers from these companies in Asia that don't have any US headquarters, they have no United States official location here, support's going to get very, very difficult for obvious reasons. So I want you to be aware that, and one of the reasons why I ask you to share your experience with me on all these reviews I do, so I can hear back if you've had any trouble with any of the things I'm showing that you've purchased, and whether or not reaching out to the company finds you a resolution. Now, in some way, this is a bit like buying at a garage sale. Okay, so if you go to a garage sale and you see items available for sale and you pay for them, there's no warranty or support involved usually. Like you might go back to that same house and say, hey, I bought this from you 3 months ago and it stopped working. You would think that would be preposterous for you to do that, wouldn't you? Okay, so I just want to start with a baseline. When you buy from a big corporation, so in these mini PCs, there's, Asus makes them, Intel, Nook, you're going to pay more for them because they're big corporations. They have large marketing campaigns. Support costs a lot of money. The website costs a lot of money. That maintain the website costs a lot of money. And so they're going to have to pay for that somehow. It's called profit. But Amazon allows third-party sellers, basically. You can open up your own Amazon store. You can contract with a mini PC maker in Asia and put your own logo on it, and you can sell it all by yourself with no employees, your own branded, labeled mini PC. Anybody can do it. Welcome to the world today. You can also write a book and publish it yourself. You don't need an editor. You don't need a proofreader. You don't need an artist. You don't need a copy editor. You just write it and you publish it on Amazon. Might be junk, maybe not. You can record a song and you can post it online. You can sell it at numerous websites from SoundCloud to Amazon themselves and numerous others like iTunes and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you can self-publish. Well, you can also create your own store and be basically an Amazon fulfillment, what do they call it? Fulfilled by Amazon seller, FBA, where you ship all the products to Amazon and Amazon warehouses them. And Amazon will then ship them from their warehouse. So if you're in China and you can pick these up super cheap, get them branded and labeled, and it's just you with no employees, and then you can have, 100 of them shipped to Amazon in the United States. Then Amazon will warehouse them, and you create your Amazon sale page, and Amazon's going to take a chunk of the profit. And, if customers want to send it back, Amazon's going to take it back. And you got to work that out with Amazon. But you could just be one single employee of what appears to be a large PC manufacturer to the average consumer who doesn't understand the marketplace and how it's changing. Now, I have a suspicion that when we're looking at AceMagician and Camrui, and a lot of these other manufacturers, that we are dealing with super teeny tiny little companies, you can tell by the websites how they're sort of very amateurish. They're not up to the standards of a professional American corporation. or a corporation doing business in America. The language is a bit twisted up because it's clear they don't speak English as their primary language. And so, again, they don't have all the profit needs that a big corporation would have. If they can make a few bucks and, basically they're just sitting at a keyboard clicking a mouse, the manufacturer's making it, they're shipping it off to Amazon, they're designing the Amazon page, click, 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 and then they just start cashing the checks. Now you as the consumer can get a really great deal. But if you think you're going to get a really great deal and get the same kind of service and support you're getting from the big corporations, well, that's just like buying at a garage sale and thinking you're going to get the exact same service and support you get when you buy from a big box retailer, right? Like Walmart or Best Buy, etc. They're two entirely different types of transactions. And I realize this has become unclear to a lot of people who aren't aware of how all this works. So in the case of AceMagician, when we go to their website to look for drivers, they're non-existent for this model. I don't know why. It's baffling to me. And when I was doing the repair video yesterday, which again, I was saying if you missed it, basically the M.2 drive became corrupt and the system wouldn't pass the power on self-test. It would come up with the dialog, and then the next step would, was when you expect it to boot, and it would just freeze there. I took the drive out of the unit and I cleaned the drive using the diskpart command and the clean command, put it back in, reinstalled Windows 11, and then we have a bunch of items that need drivers now. Normally you go to the manufacturer's website, you download the drivers. Because the equipment is relatively new, the drivers are not built into Windows. And manufacturers can submit their drivers to Microsoft for free to be included in Windows Update, provided Microsoft verifies there's no harm in them and there's no violation of policy regarding how they're coding the driver that doesn't put the system at risk for blue screens and incompatibilities and security. Microsoft does that for free. But so many companies aren't providing their drivers to Microsoft, and especially those companies that are on razor-thin margins. So if you go to buy one of these computers from some company you never heard of, first thing you should do is back it up. That's the first thing. Make a system image of it. Or before you buy it, go to the manufacturer's website and see what drivers are available in case you have to reformat it. Now, of all the many PCs I have received, I have never needed to reformat one. I take them out of the box, I plug them in, I update them, and that's how you're supposed to use them. Some of you want to take it and you want to change the operating system. Well, if you do that, you're on your own for finding the drivers, or do the research before you make the purchase to see that you can find the drivers. I see many of you are still, in my opinion, wasting your money on system utilities for Windows 10 and 11. Windows 10 and 11 has all those system utilities built into the operating system. So for example, some of you are using driver updater software. I think that's insane. The driver updater software isn't making the drivers. And furthermore, they can't test everything because there's millions of different hardware out there, different pieces of hardware. Who knows what configuration you have? And it still may not have the driver you need anyway. They're just a middleman that you don't need to have. They're like a travel agent. You can book your own travel. You don't need a travel agent anymore. So people learn this stuff from years ago and they keep doing it, and you don't need to anymore. Programs like CCleaner, programs like system tune-up utilities. Microsoft has their own tune-up utility. It's free. All of this stuff is free. I don't know why some of you are still paying for it. I know why 10 or 15 or 20 years ago. I know why you might have downloaded a torrent that was 5 gigabytes of drivers, like Snappy Driver Installer, and wasted all that time and all the expense to put it on a drive and keep it updated. It's just not necessary anymore. If you wanted to back up the drivers on the unit, so let's say we've just bought the unit, and we think, you know what? I don't see the drivers. All right, let's play out a scenario. Okay, so Uncle Kerry says, if I'm buying one of these really cheap, inexpensive mini PCs that's shipping out of China from a company I've never heard of before. I should go to Google, search for drivers for it if I think I'm going to need the drivers. If you're one of those people, right? Most people will just take it out of the box, plug it in, and use it as intended. Some of you are tinkerers, and then you get yourselves in trouble, and then you say, "Oh, woe is me!" You get all angry, and you feel like you've been duped. You feel like you've been hustled. You did it to yourself. So it's frustrating for me why people do this to themselves. So, you can pay more money and you can get that name brand, you can get that Intel, you can get that Asus mini PC if you want that peace of mind, or you can save money and do it yourself, right? Like a buffet. You can pay the server a tip for bringing your food, or you can get off your butt, go get your food yourself. And as far as a buffet goes, you can pick just the items you want and the quantity. The server, you get what you get. All right, so I like to have the control, and I'm not comfortable being waited on, honestly. So that's just me. So you say, okay, I'm thinking about buying this AceMagician AD03, and I might want to reinstall an operating system on it. Maybe I want to wipe it because I'm one of those people that just constantly reinstalls their operating system. There's no law against that, but are you prepared? Will you have all the tools? So you go and you look and you Google search for AceMagician AD03 drivers, and you go to the AceMagician website. They're just not there. Okay, so should you not buy the PC? Well, one of the things you can do is the minute you get the PC, just go ahead and order it. And when you get it and you turn it on and you set it up, as early as possible, back up the drivers yourself for free with no software necessary. Just use the built-in tools in Windows 10 and 11 to back up your drivers. I've got a link to this website that shows you just how easy it is. It's just a DOS command, basically. And I know it's in my links here. It's so easy, and it's free. It's completely free. Bear with me for a second. I'm going to pull that site up. Right here in the video notes is a link. And I'm going to share this link. I'm going to show it to you on the screen for those of you who have not pulled it up before started broadcasting. And it just gives you the rundown of how to export your drivers, in this case in Windows 11, all right? Because we're dealing with Windows 11 here on this AceMagician. And it's really just these 4 steps right here. It's very, very simple, with the D drive being, some external drive or external location. And now you've got your drivers. It's that easy. And, read more about it. I mean, if you want to spend money for a driver program that just acts as a liaison between you and the driver manufacturer, it's your money. Spend it. Have at it. I'm not going to do that. So I'm not going to recommend you do it if it's something I'm not going to do. It's very, very simple. Furthermore, yesterday when I was doing the repair and looking for the drivers, let's see if we go to Google and type in AceMagician AD03 drivers. I did go to the right site, which is, there's a forum here in the search results. Pull it up from over here. There was a review. And I think we used Bing. We were using Edge, and I think Bing pulled it right up. But there's a forum where many PC users gather, including many PC manufacturers. And I have a link to that in these video notes below this video as well. If we continue to look down at the video notes, you'll see, where is it? I got to pull my own video up. Yeah, Mini PC Forum. It's called minipcunion.com. And if you, once again, let me share the screen here. If you're into mini PCs, then you can learn a lot here and even potentially have an opportunity to talk to the manufacturers directly since they don't have a traditional site. And there's all kinds of discussion, different forums for different mini PCs. And what we're looking for are the drivers for the AD03. So AD03 space drivers was what I'll put in the search. And right here, this first link that comes up on the forum, this right here is the download for the entire Windows 11 software. This is an 11 gig download. And these are all being hosted on Google Drive. This is from the representative of the company. If you scroll down, this is just the drivers for Windows 11 Pro 21H2 and just the drivers for Windows 11 Pro 22H2. Now, these are going to also be on Google Drive, and they're going to be .rar compressed files because .zip files, Google Drive may not allow those, or they might provide warnings that might scare people away. So by doing .rar, Google doesn't look into .rar files. Now, I'm also downloading these files and I will put them on my own Google Drive. And for if anything should happen where these files are no longer available in the future, because I am a real working computer technician, I stand behind the things I sell. And I'm not selling these AD03s, I'm just reviewing them. But if you bought it because I reviewed it, then I feel the right thing for me to do is to ensure that those drivers are always around. And since I don't know what, nor do I have any control of the decisions the folks running AceMagician make, or if they go out of business, I'm going to grab those drivers and I'm going to put them on my Google Drive. And if you go to grab those drivers, which as far as I know is the only place they exist, they're not there, then feel free to reach out to me. Unless something happens to me, I'll be able to provide you a link to my own Google Drive so you can download them. That whole Windows 11 download, that's 11 gigs, they're not allowed to do that according to Microsoft policy. Again, people confuse corporate policies with laws, but basically if you violate corporate policies, then they may not work with you. They almost guarantee they're not going to work with you. But if you're not working with them to begin with, what are they going to do about it? So, but they're not supposed to, the only folks that are allowed, according to Microsoft, to distribute Microsoft software, be it Office or Windows, is Microsoft. And according to Microsoft, the only people allowed to sell license keys are authorized sellers that Microsoft approves. But those aren't laws, those are policies. And if you don't work for Microsoft and you don't work with Microsoft, then there's nothing Microsoft can do if you don't honor their policies. If I tell you, don't leave my refrigerator door open for longer than 2 minutes as you're trying to decide what to eat, that's not a law, it's a policy. I can't do anything to legally enforce my policy. But as long as you're in my house and you're opening up my refrigerator and I tell you, don't leave those refrigerator doors open for more than 2 minutes, and you do it anyway, I'll put a lock on the refrigerator door so you won't get into it anymore. If you don't like that, you can leave. Do you understand the difference between law and policy? Not all corporate policies are legally enforceable or even legal, and that's why people go to court and judges determine that when cases are brought forward. So just because a company says something doesn't automatically make it legal. And until somebody challenges it, it's just a way to try to invoke fear and control that doesn't necessarily exist except through psychology. And there is no punishment for you unless you work with the company or work for the company. The company is paying you or you're making money from the company, and therefore you will follow their policies where the money gets cut off, all right? Maybe you don't work there anymore. Maybe they don't work with you anymore. That's how this whole system works. It's how it has always worked. But the interpretation and the comprehension It just goes right down the toilet. I don't know why. I have no idea what's going on in society, but that's the way it is. Whether you agree with it or not is irrelevant. Now, there's a couple different ways that I can restore the drivers. Since I had to wipe this drive and reinstall Windows 11, I need the drivers. And I can either use another machine here. I've got another AD03 that's working perfectly fine. And I can run that command and copy those drivers right off. I could also take the drive out, put it in an external drive, and just click on each item in the device manager and tell it to pull the driver from the external drive. It'll find it automatically. Or I can download the driver pack, the RAR, and extract it, which is probably the way most of you are going to do it. I have alternatives because I'm a professional and I'm in the industry, and drivers are no big deal to me. Some of you don't even know what a driver is. Some of you have never installed a driver because in the last, I don't know, few years, Microsoft has been getting better and better at providing drivers. But listen, drivers were never automatically installed. That's a relatively new thing within the last few years. You've always had to put every driver on for your sound card, your chipset, your network card. You know, if you had a modem, if you had a printer, if you've got a network card, wireless card, Bluetooth, everything requires drivers. A driver is a piece of software that tells the operating system how to communicate with a piece of hardware. So Windows speaks a certain language. Mac OS speaks a separate language. Linux OS speaks its own language. So there isn't one universal driver any more than there's one universal language. So the developers of the hardware have to pay software developers to write drivers, or what are essentially interpreters, so that the thing you're connecting the hardware to can be controlled through software. And which software, in this case Windows or Linux or Mac OS, needs to have the driver written in a language that it can understand, and that's called a driver. If the manufacturers provide their drivers for free to Microsoft, if it passes, that it's not harmful, Microsoft will add it to the Windows update, and if it sees it, it'll put it in for you. But we've gotten kind of dumb, and we've gotten really lazy because a lot of people just don't know any of this. They just think Windows just does everything on its own. If you want that world, you'll find it in Apple. Apple has very few choices, and Apple controls that world. In the world of PC, there are millions of possibilities of printers and motherboards and chipsets and processors and sound cards and all the gamut of hardware that you can mix and match to your heart's desire. And somehow it all works perfectly together in harmony. It's incredible, as long as you put the right drivers on it. But with Mac, they limit everything you can have. They charge more for it because they're doing you the courtesy, just like a frozen dinner costs more than making it yourself, because you're paying for convenience. But you're also reduced to your freedom. So if I'm buying a frozen TV dinner, it comes with. I can't customize it and say, well, I don't want the corn, I want the mashed potatoes. Okay, that's not how they work. They're prepackaged. This is what you get. This is how much it is. And yes, I could make it at home for less money, but I'd have to prep everything and all the dishes. Right, this is already done. Slap it in the oven or the microwave and you're eating. And for that convenience, it costs a bit more. So I thought today we would try these drivers. I've left the machine, this machine right here, exactly as it was from yesterday. And I was able to use some of the regular Intel drivers off a similar chipset from Gigabyte. I was hopeful I was going to get them all, but there were 3 remaining devices in the device manager that are unknown. And I've downloaded that driver pack for Windows 11 22H2. I have un-RAR'd it using a free open source app called 7-Zip, which I recommend. It's a great application. And I have extracted the files onto this flash drive. So now I should have Way more drivers than I need because I've already installed some of them. Any questions? Is it going to work? I'm not worried. I'm certain it's going to work. And if it doesn't, I can just pull the drivers off of this one using the command I showed you, make my own driver pack, and put that on my Google Drive. I shouldn't need to. It should already be done here. Let me take a look at the chat room. And hey, everybody, welcome in. There's our friend John Jack Wilson joining us in the chat. Happy Sunday. Mats Olov joins us from Sweden. He says Sweden won the Eurovision Song Contest yesterday. Isn't it the same band that won last year? Haven't they won 2 years in a row? Let's see. Jimmy mentions Cam Rui. I think Cam Rui and AceMagician are the same company. Pete Unwin says hello. There's our good friend Marvin Jameson joining us, and Dwayne Blackwelder. Mark Gaines, welcome in, guys. Positive Gene. John Lewis, Ray Sudbury, Gil Garcia saying hello. Thomas McT, Paul McIntosh, and Dave E joining us. More Tots joining us. Josh Kinder, Luke Greenio. Happy Mother's Day. By the way, it's Mother's Day today. So happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. Let's see. Oh, Camera Girl's in the chat room. It's gonna be hard for Camera Girl to work the cameras when she's in the chat room. All right, we'll get along without it. Barry Klein says, with all these live streams, Carrie, are you going to rename your channel to CNN, the Carrie News Network? Maybe. I've got a lot of content to do, but I think CNN has a lot more presenters. Zach Bischoff says, hello. And I've answered your question. If you rewind the video, I've already talked about that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and fire this up. I think it's all still plugged in. Oh, I need an HDMI cable. I thought a cable was missing. Let me grab an HDMI cable here, which should be, uh-oh. I don't know which one it is now. Why do I have two? Got one here. Why do I have two? Hold on, I'm confused. There's an HDMI cable on the close-up camera. This should be an HDMI. Oh, this isn't an HDMI cable. That's a USB power cable. Okay. Oh, man. See what happens when I make too many live streams? I start to get a little loopy. What do you mean start? Always been loopy. Let's get this cable untangled here. It's messy. There we go. Plug in the HDMI cable right there. Very good. Turn that on, and we'll go over to HDMI capture. I'll put myself in a corner like I do. Now, I emailed my contact at AceMagician and separately emailed support@acemagicians.com, and I haven't heard back from anybody yet. So that's the other problem. We have a significant time zone difference, and it's the weekend. They're going to respond during normal business hours in their time zone when they're at work. So I probably won't get a response until tomorrow. And I'll be interested if their response is going to be any different than what I think it's going to be, which is pointing me to the link that they shared at the minipcunion.com website. Some of those manufacturers of mini PCs are looking for reviewers and may offer to send you a mini PC for a review if you qualify, because you can't just say you're going to do it and then not do it. So you're going to have to be able to prove to them that you're going to do it. And one of those ways is to have already done that, like to have a YouTube channel or a website, because you need a place to post your review. But I'll leave that between you and them. Those discussions happen over there at the Mini PC Union. Go check them out. Signing up is free. And you can listen, or rather read, some of the forum threads with regards to some of the questions or problems people have had with various makes and models, and just learn from them. See how those past conversations have gone and what the results were. But unlike them, we're doing this live, so when you're looking at the forum, always pay attention to when the conversation took place. The day doesn't matter, but look at the month and the year. Some people are looking at information that's 7 years old because they weren't paying attention to the date and they think that information is current. This is going to be a real big problem with the internet, because all the information that's being added to the internet every day is added to the other information that was added the day before and the day before and the day before. I have people watching some of my YouTube videos from 10 years ago and asking me questions, and I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? Like, that computer's been gone a long, long time ago. I don't remember anything that specific about it. And then when they leave comments and they say, hey, this is on sale right now, that comment is up for eternity. So somebody looking at your comment 3 years from now, or even 3 weeks from now, says, that's not on sale. What are you talking about? You're etching everything in stone online. And when you're reading those stones, you should get an idea of how old the stones are to determine if the information is current or not. And I guarantee you there's going to be a date on every publication, whether it's a blog post or a video. Watch for the date to gauge how fresh the information is. I hope you don't eat food that way. This bag of Doritos has been sitting around for 3 years. It should be fine. Don't look at the expiration date. I've got the flash drive right here. I'm going to plug it in. And let's see here. I have to go full screen on my side because I can't see nothing. It's too small. Okay. I'm doing this all live. There's no rehearsal. I'm just assuming this is going to work. I'm going to go over here to this flash drive, and I downloaded and extracted the drivers for 21H2 and 22H2. I don't know. I should really do a file comparison because I think the majority of these are going to be exactly the same. But we're going to copy this, and we'll just throw it in downloads. Like this. And this isn't too big of a download, not like that big Windows 11, that's a full 11 gig download, which is preposterous, and they're not supposed to be distributing that. So I've installed my own legit Windows 11 from media that I created from Microsoft, that Microsoft allows you to create for free. And when we look in that directory, I suppose I shouldn't have closed that. When we look in the downloads directory and look in so I've renamed this folder because the default name of the folder was stupid. So for my own categorization, I've labeled it. And now we have all of these drivers here. Now, do you want to go through every one of these folders? Because I don't. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on the device, on the start menu. And then I'm going to go to Device Manager. Then I'm going to look for the unidentified items. I'm going to pick one. I'll start at the top. I'm going to say driver, update driver, browse my computer, and now I'm going to point it to that directory I just copied over right here. I don't need to know which of the subdirectories. It's going to automatically search all the subdirectories in this folder. Next. And it found them. And that was the Intel Serial IO SPI host controller. Okay, so that's what that mystical one was. One down. Very good. That's where it went. Let's do the next one. See how painless this is? PCI Simple Communications. Driver. Update driver. Search, browse my computer. It's remembering the last place I had it look. That hasn't changed. I want it to look in the same place. Hey, it found it. Once again, it was an Intel Serial IO UART host controller, which is interesting because you notice when I went to Gigabyte yesterday, I went to the Serial IO driver, but apparently there's a difference in the chipset. And we should have one last thing here. This one tells us nothing. It's an unknown device. Double click, driver tab, update driver, browse my computer, same path, next. And this one, once again, Intel Serial GPIO host controller. You're sensing a theme there, aren't you? Now look here. Let's just close out the device manager, right click and go back into it. Ta-da! We have all the drivers. It's that easy. Super easy, barely an inconvenience. All right? Not rocket science. However, I will say, if you're looking for drivers for Linux or some other operating system, you're going to have to ask somebody else because I don't know nothing about it and I don't want to. Okay? So, look, for those of you who like to tinker and for those of you who like projects, there you go. Buy your box. It's super cheap. I've got a customer who says, I want a machine that's got at least 6 cores. This only has 4 cores. They're saying, I want 6 cores. Say, okay. And I want to buy from a company that I know. Okay, well, you're going to start at $500. Oh, no, I don't want to spend $500. Okay, well, I want a Rolls Royce, but I don't want to spend, and I want a new Rolls Royce under warranty, and I don't want to spend more than $30,000. Well, good luck with that. And when you get customers that don't realize that their demands or their requests are unreasonable, it can be a little bit of a test of patience where you got to go, look, I got to explain this to you as easy as I can. You can have cheap or you can have peace of mind and, I don't want to say higher quality, but at least higher quality support. But somebody's going to pay for it. You need to pick one or the other. We can get you a machine that's, 6+ cores. Open your wallet. We can get you a machine that has 6+ cores under $500 if you stick with another like AceMagician, Cambrewy, etc. But we can certainly get you into an Intel NUC. We can get you into one of the Asus mini PCs. No, those are too expensive. Okay, then you're going to have to. Your money's only going to get you so far. All right, if this is what your budget is, if you say you got a 500, you're not going to spend 500. 500 is too much. Then you're not going to get what you're asking for at that price without making some sacrifices anyway. So, yeah, this is sort of the business side of things. Again, I'm showing you things that I think you aren't going to find from the tech enthusiasts here on YouTube because they don't deal with customers, all right? And they're not held accountable and responsible after the sale to hear from a customer 4 months later, 8 months later to say, hey, that thing you sold me for 8 months later, I'm having a problem with it, and you're expected to help them for free. Enthusiasts don't do that. Or they're not obligated to do. So I feel that my content is desperately needed here on YouTube so I can explain the technical side of things to people and get you grounded because some of you have very unrealistic expectations and then you're outraged. You become outraged as though there's an injustice, and it's not an injustice. It's your understanding that's wrong. And if you think you can do it better, start your own mini PC company and show us all how it's done. Show us how you can provide all the drivers and all the support and do all that with a super low price. And let's see how long you stay in business. Hey, for all I know, you can come up with a way that you can make very little money or sell the unit super, super cheap, give people all the support, give them all the peace of mind, and take off like a rocket to be one of the most successful companies in the world. Somebody has to start. If you're not willing to do that, if you think that's a preposterous thing that I just said, then the thing you're saying is what I'm hearing as preposterous when you're expecting somebody else to do it, when you yourself can't even do it. So we need to pick one or the other. That's all I'm saying. There's got to be compromise. Pay more, get better service, get better support. Pay less, it's buffet, serve yourself. If you don't want that, don't buy it because you're not going to be happy. They're not going to be happy. Nobody wins. You're not going to change anything. You're just going to get yourself upset, and it's not a fight you can win. All you can do is send the unit back within 30 days if you bought it from Amazon. Beyond that, that's done. So understand what kind of personality you have to determine if buying from these off-brand names is a good idea for somebody like you. And if you're more techie and more, enjoying tech challenges and doing things on your own, well, you don't need to hear anything from me. So I'm trying to help you. I want you to be happy. I don't want you to buy something because you thought you were getting a bargain, because you thought you were getting a Rolls Royce. And what you got was Rolls Royce-ish without any support. And you kind of have to fix it yourself, and you're kind of on your own to figure things out. When you pay for an actual Rolls Royce, they will kiss your bottom in service because they want you to come back and buy another Rolls Royce. Same with a Rolex watch. When you're buying luxury items, the way you're treated is very different because you're far more valuable to them. If, on the other hand, you're just scraping the bottom of the barrel along with everybody else, well, there's just too many of you. There's too little profit. It's not possible to give you the Rolls Royce service at the bottom of the barrel pricing. And that's just the way it is. And it's, as far as I can tell, the way it's been my whole life. It's just that with the internet, the world's gotten a bit smaller. So buying things direct from China wasn't really something we did in the 70s and 80s. But it's certainly very commonplace these days. And even when you're buying it from Amazon, bear in mind, it's coming from an Amazon warehouse. Like if I were to buy this AceMagician on Amazon, Amazon's going to ship it to me from their warehouse. No differently than Amazon ships me a name brand item. The companies provide Amazon with the product. They have that option, right? So like if you have Amazon Prime, the product has to be in Amazon basically, or the seller has to agree to Prime shipping requirements, or they won't be authorized as a Prime seller. So sometimes it's hard to know who you're buying from, but as long as you make sure an Amazon Prime item is being offered, then Amazon Prime rules apply, regardless of where the item came from. As a result, because there's no AceMagician headquarters in the United States, the best you can do is go to that minipcunion.com and help each other out, learn from others, or don't participate in it at all. Stick with name brands that have a U.S. presence so that you have a place to ship it to. In other words, if this AceMagician breaks in warranty and outside of the 30 days, there's no way it's going to be sent back to China because it will cost me probably about $100 to $150 to send something to China. China will pay $1.50 to send it to us. I don't know why it works that way, but that's how it works. So likely what happens is AceMagician has some kind of deal with Amazon. And I think SK Hynix, the RAM manufacturer, solid state drive manufacturer, I believe all SK Hynix warranty is handled by Amazon. Correct me if I'm wrong. And SK Hynix is a big corporation in South Korea, and even they don't have a US presence. So they've worked out a deal with Amazon where you send your product back, even if it's 7 months old, under RMA, and Amazon just replaces it for you. And Amazon and SK Hynix work out what happens with the spare part, with the return parts. And I don't know the negotiations of that and how that works. And I'm imagining something like that would probably work with AceMagician as well, but I don't know. I have no idea. But these are very inexpensive computers. So if something were to happen to it, it's not a big loss. I also wanted to show you there was a really good deal since Intel sold off their solid state drive division to SK Hynix. All of the Intel branded drives are being blown out because Intel no longer supports them, even though. So here's an example. Speaking of, let me go over to Amazon and let me share the page with you. This link right here, show you. This is a 2 terabyte Gen 3 by 4 NVMe drive made by Intel, quality of Intel, and it's right now $81.99. It may even be cheaper if you have Prime. I'm not logged in, so you'll have to let me know if you see that cheaper. But I've used this drive in other builds. I paid $199 for it. Now $81.99, and Intel isn't guaranteeing. Basically, Intel's going to direct you to talk to SK Hynix. They're blowing out all the inventory. That's all this is. And that's why it's so cheap. I've never seen one of these fail yet. These aren't fast. These are budget 2 terabyte drives, but they're made by a name brand manufacturer who is no longer supporting it because it's not theirs anymore. SK Hynix owns it, and SK Hynix has renamed it to Solidign, Solidign. So if we look at Solidign, if I typed it wrong. So essentially this company here is rebranding the business they bought from Intel, the SSD business. It's Solidign. So if you've had issues with SK Hynix products, bear in mind, at least in the M.2 storage, their M.2 storage is now the technology that Intel's been using. We own it now. Okay, so if you have a problem with it, you will not go to Intel for problem solve your problem. And also because of that, that's why you're buying the drive is so cheap. They want to get rid of the existing inventory that's still Intel branded. And they want all of that gone and replaced with Solidign branded. Okay? So set your expectations accordingly. It's a great deal when you understand why. Let me go back over to the chat and let's see what's on your mind. I'll be happy to address any questions you have. I've pretty much covered what I wanted to cover today. It's all pretty straightforward. Do you have any questions about this process or about the difference between buying from a name brand versus an off brand and the difference in the price and that you're paying less and you are getting less? Just because you're getting less doesn't mean that you're going to be missing anything. In other words, if I'm going to eat a pound of food and you give me 2 pounds of food, and I'm like, I don't want 2 pounds of food, I only want 1 pound of food. So you say, okay, I'll cut the price in half. Pay less, I get less. But does that mean I'm missing out? No, I didn't want the other pound of food. Why would I pay for something I don't want? So if you're somebody that doesn't use support, you're somebody that does fix things on your own, you're self-sufficient, then you don't want that stuff anyway, so why are you paying for it? But if you're on the other side of the spectrum and you want the peace of mind and you don't want to gamble, then pay the extra money and get the name brand stuff. Dennis Kine joins us. Says hello, welcome in. Taco says, are profit margins being regulated? No, absolutely not. Anybody can charge anything. So if Amazon wants to charge you $30 for an item that costs them $100, and Amazon is going to take a $70 loss on that, there's nothing illegal about that. You might say, well, that's not fair. How can I compete? Amazon's trying to put you out of business because Amazon can sustain losses. You can't price match them, not forever. So you might want to just get out of that product category and move on to something else because they'll bury you. They can sustain those losses as long as it takes for you to go out of business. Consumers winning on that, right? Amazon did this with Kindle. They were saying when they introduced Kindle, all the hardback books would be sold at what was essentially $5 less than it cost them to buy from the publisher. So yes, Amazon was taking a $5 loss and guaranteed it for a certain number of months that all new releases and bestsellers will be sold at this fixed price. And the publishers were still say taking $20, charging Amazon $20 for the book, and Amazon was selling the book for $15 and taking a $5 loss. And what do you think happened to Barnes & Noble and other booksellers as a result of that? You can't match that price very long. Amazon's got investor money. Amazon can sit there and do that as long as they need to, for years and years if necessary. And then once your competition fades out, then you can bring your price back up again and you own the market. It's all legal. What do I think about an i3 12100F CPU with an RTX 3060? I don't know how to answer that question because every part exists to meet the needs of an individual, and I don't know you and I don't know what your needs are. I don't know what your expectations are. So I don't understand what question you're asking me. It would be like if we walked through the produce department of a grocery store. You say, what do you think of radishes? What do you think of peppers? What do you think of carrots? What do you think of cantaloupe? Some people like that stuff. Some people don't like that stuff. None of it's poisonous. None of it's necessarily a ripoff or dangerous. You buy what meets your need. I don't understand the question. If you're going to buy brand new technology, you're going to pay top dollar for it. If you wait until the technology is a few years old, you can save a lot of money compared to what it cost when it was new. So if you're somebody who wants to buy a 13900KS with the equivalent motherboard and DDR5 RAM, you're going to pay more for that system today than you're going to pay for it next year. But then you're going to say next year, well, that's not the latest anymore, so I don't want it. I want the 14th generation. Well, then you're going to pay the most for that. So it's like, well, gee, I wish I would have waited and bought my Core i9 in 2023 because they're super cheap. Yeah, because it's 4 generations old. If you bought it earlier, you paid more for it because you've had the convenience of using it all this time. If you want to go without and buy yesterday's technology, you can save a lot of money. But if you want current technology, like the latest and greatest, you're going to pay the most expensive prices because that's how this industry works. You don't get the benefit of using it today to have the price of a year from now. No. We have to be reasonable. We must be reasonable. Blue Star Line says, Carrie, I have a 5800X with a stock AMD cooler. What would be a nice upgrade for it while using a 200R case? I'm still using the 200R. I need optical drive bays. My CPU idles at 85 degrees Celsius. I'm not familiar with the TDW on a 5800X. You know, my go-to is always the Scythe Mugen 5. If you're obsessed with heat and you don't care about what it looks like, maybe a Noxua DH15, you know, some massive cooler that just covers your entire motherboard. You could put a 120 millimeter all-in-one liquid cooler, and any of those should be fine. I just can't tell you for sure which one's going to be the best for that processor, because but if anybody in the chat has any recommendations, help them out with some suggestions. Tasteful Thickness says Noctua is now makes a newer, smaller cooler than the D15 with basically the same cooling effectiveness. It's called the NHU14, or they're guessing. I don't know. I'm just reading the comments. Sarge Tech mentions you could also buy used and refurbished products as well. Absolutely. You know, the giveaways that we're doing with the these little HP off-lease business machines. You can get these all day long on Amazon for $100. They're Core i5 6500T processor, or just 6500 depending. It's not Windows 11 compatible. You can still put Windows 11 on it. You will eventually, Microsoft says they're going to cut off updates to people whose computers don't meet Windows 11 requirements. Why Microsoft is letting people install Windows 11 on incompatible hardware, I can't explain. It doesn't make any sense to me. They're like, you can put this on incompatible hardware, but we're going to stop updates for you in the future. Are they bluffing, or do they mean it? Is that a risk you want to take? Do you want to run an operating system that's not getting updates? Because you can go put Windows XP on your computer if you want to. I wouldn't advise it. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. There's a reason, and it's not a conspiracy theory. It's because the internet is getting more and more dangerous. There are more threats and more clever ways of hacking into your computer. And if you're running an obsolete operating system, oh, you're going to be a very easy target for a hacker. That's all I'm saying. It's not even anything you have to click on or do. Just having it connected to the internet, turning it on, is all it takes. So do what you want, man. I've warned you. It's coming. It's coming. Barry Klein says that's $72.99 instead of $81.99 if you're an Amazon Prime member. So 2 terabytes from Intel for $72.99. I was happy to pay $199 for them. I thought they were a good deal. That is a great, great deal. Again, it's not a rocket ship. It's not going to break any speed records, but it's reliable. It's fast. It's just not the fastest. And the price is what? $36 per terabyte? You're getting 2 terabytes for $74 with free shipping? Are you kidding me? What a deal. The Tasteful Thickness said, hey, you could also buy an external enclosure for $15 and make it an external drive. That's good thinking, because the speed is going to be limited by your USB port anyway, not by the drive. So even if the drive is writing at 2,000 megabytes per second max, you're likely only going to get 1,000 out of it tops through a USB 3.2 Gen 2 anyway. So that's a great idea, for sure. So you can essentially have 2 terabytes of external storage to use as a backup drive. If it's $74 for the drive and $15 for the enclosure, you're under $100 for 2 terabytes. That's fast. You could drop it. It's not going to break. But quantities are limited. Intel doesn't make them anymore. They're trying to blow out inventory. First come, first served. If you hesitate, if you've got to think about it, then by the time you make up your mind, don't be surprised they're sold out and they don't make any more. They're gone. TWC Coster says, I have a gaming PC. It's hot all the time. Sometimes I can't game with my door closed because it produces a good amount of heat. Do gaming laptops produce more heat than desktops? Well, not all gaming desktops are the same, and not all gaming laptops are the same. So some gaming laptops produce more heat than some gaming desktops, and some gaming desktops produce more heat than some gaming laptops. Once again, you guys are way oversimplifying. Every manufacturer has their own design with their own configuration, with different power requirements, different CPUs, different graphics cards. So the results of the heat are going to be different based on how it's been implemented and what generation of hardware we're using, and whether or not we're comparing the exact same processors and exact same video cards, which of course we're not, because you're going to have a desktop graphics card, which is way more powerful and more expensive than the mobile version of the graphics card. So a mobile 3070 GPU does not perform anywhere near a desktop version of the GPU of the exact same model, say a 3070. But it performs, the mobile 3070 performs way better than the built-in graphics of the AMD Ryzen or Intel CPU. The Greenia says, I haven't imaged the AceMagician yet. Better take care of that. Yeah, well, it's up to you. I don't care if you do it or not. Doesn't make a difference in my world. I'm just trying to give you a heads up. What you choose to do with it, that's on you. See if I've missed some other questions here. Kevin Smith is telling Blue Star Line on his cooler. He also has an AMD 5800X CPU, and he's cooling it with a Be Quiet Dark Rock Pro 4. But it's possible that his motherboard is overvolting the chip, and that's why he's running hotter. Motherboard makers are doing that. They've been doing it for some time. We've talked about this in the past, but you may not have been here to watch that show. But basically, in order to say they've got faster performance, they're overvolting. They've been doing this for the last couple of years. That's why I've talked about overclocking being dead, because it's already happening by the manufacturers. So when certain features on AMD or Intel are enabled in the BIOS to cause that overclock, it also overvolts it. And then the reviewers, the enthusiasts, they go, wow, look how much faster this is. Well, of course it's faster, because it's being overclocked right out of the box by default. So that may be what's happening, and maybe why his CPU is running at 85C idle, is because the BIOS out of the box has got the, I forget what that's called on AMD. It's a feature. And if you disable that feature, it does slow the CPU down, but when I say slow it down, it puts it back to where it's supposed to be from where AMD intends it to be. And it also uses less power and runs cooler. Then you don't even have to buy a new cooler. Think about that. You want to go faster, you need more power, you're going to have more heat. You're going to have more heat, you need a more serious, more aggressive, more expensive cooler. Want to go faster? No problem. Show me some money. You don't get to do both. You got to pick one or the other. You want to bargain? Don't try and break any speed records. You want to break speed records? Open that wallet. Winston Liu contributes $5.50 Canadian. Says, Carrie, I am using the B-Link Mini PC, the Intel 12th Gen i5 1235U without a problem. Great, that's awesome. Again, if you guys buy any of the items that you see me use, even the Windows license keys, the Office license keys that I promote here from VIP CDK deals, RoboForm, Acronis, any of the hardware that you see me talk about, I'd love to hear from you guys who've actually taken the plunge, what it's like to live with it. Do you like it? What do you like about it? Do you not like it? And what do you not like about it? And I like to see what the bulk of opinion is overall for a particular item. Are people overall happy with that item, or are people overall upset over that item? And that helps gauge whether or not I want to even work with that company in the future, because I'm not intentionally providing influence, if you will, to encourage you to buy these products. I'm simply introducing you to the product, sharing with you what I know about it to those limits, and then it's up to you if you think that's going to meet your needs. And I always recommend you buy from Amazon with these companies I don't know much about, so you have that peace of mind to return it within 30 days hassle-free. And then over time, we can gauge from responses from viewers who've purchased and just from working with the company, like it's the first time I've ever needed a driver and I'm not hearing back from technical support right away. I know I'll hear back from them, but if you're impatient, you want to solve it now, I am going to encourage them to add a link to the drivers on the AceMagicians.com website. It's plural, AceMagicians.com. I don't know why it's not there, so I'm going to encourage them to put it there. You should not have to go to a completely different forum to locate it. But at the same time, I don't know anybody that's selling you that much amount of computer for that little tiny price. That's a $180 computer. That's everything. That's the case, the power supply, the motherboard, the cooler, the CPU, the RAM, the storage, and the licensed Windows 11 Pro operating system with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and gigabit Ethernet, 2 gigabit Ethernet on this bad boy. It's an awful lot for a tiny little price. Ben wants to know, would you still recommend the Corsair 200R these days for a high-end gaming system? I've always loved that case, and I'm not interested in RGB or a case window. If you can find one, it's a great case. It's timeless. Unlike RGB, unlike some of the fads, these fads, they're going to look like the 1970s. Like in the 1970s, lime green and like mustard yellow was the main color of appliances. Terrible. They did not age well. Stainless steel appliances are more timeless. A black computer box, whether it was built in 1980 or today, is still going to look pretty much the same. It's not going to be an embarrassment necessarily. So I've been using the Corsair 200R exclusively for my business clients, not necessarily for gaming builds. But at the end of the day, pick what's right for you. For a gaming build, you might want a case that can accommodate a larger cooler. And for gaming builds, I would lean towards NZXT personally. And of course, if you have recommendations for a gaming case and you're in the chat, let us know. Let them know what you think, what your recommendations are. I'm looking to see if I've missed any other questions in here. I'm going to scroll through the chat. We might end up with this being a pretty short show. Again, any questions you have for me, I'll take them now. If I'm not getting any questions, then we're going to wrap it up and say goodbye for the day. Of course, I have a live show tomorrow for members only every Monday at 1 o'clock Phoenix time, which currently is Pacific time for right now until the fall. 1 o'clock Phoenix time is the same as 1 o'clock Pacific time until the fall. And those videos are for members only. And to be a member, you've got to join the channel. There's a monthly cost to that. I'm not getting rich off of it. I'm using that money to buy the stuff you're seeing on the channel. If you want to support the channel in that way, then I give you a little extra content since you're giving me a little extra from you. And if you don't, or you won't, or you can't, whatever, that's fine. Those members only videos, you'll just never see them. And that's fine. You know, you pay less, you get less. But all the other shows, except for the Monday at 1 o'clock, those are all open to the public. And on occasion, I do additional videos periodically for members only, but I don't talk about those. That's between me and the members. And I want to thank all the members for making these videos possible. Making videos like this costs a lot of money. Without them, pretty much I could be doing a vlog, like I could just be a talking head and reading you PC news. Doesn't cost me anything to do that, but I don't know that that's the content you want to watch. I could take on sponsorships and be a corporate shill to read and say the things the corporation wants me to say, to review the product they want me to review, and to not say things they don't want me to say. So effectively, you're watching, in those instances, a very long advertisement. I don't want to do that. So everything you see me review, build, upgrade, repair, I'm genuinely interested in. However, when I'm doing these reviews, which is currently a lot of mini PCs, I'm doing it because the mini PC manufacturers are offering to send me the equipment at no charge. And there's no money and there's no contract. So I'm not obligated to publish by a certain date. I am not obligated to say certain things. I am free to keep my integrity intact as a working PC computer technician, as a tech author, and as a tech educator, to tell you my true, honest opinion with nothing to gain and nothing to lose, regardless of the outcome of my opinion. My opinion does not necessarily mean that it's right. It's my preferences and my values. They may not align with yours. So bear all that in mind. And again, a huge thank you to my members. Thank you to my moderators who keep everything civil in the chat. And the moderators are all the people in blue. The members are people in green or have the gold badge with a number that shows how long they've been a member of the channel. We've only turned memberships on 12 months ago. So to see so many people with the number 12 on the badge is so touching to me. You guys are so supportive. I can't even put it into words what it means to me. And that's why I do videos just for them every Monday. Do I have gift memberships enabled on this channel? I'll have to look. I don't know off the top of my head. I will look into it though. Lawn Dog wants to know, what's your preference when it comes to 3.5 millimeter jacks for headphones and microphone? Do you prefer separate jacks or the single multi-jack configuration? I don't have a preference. It doesn't matter to me. Because if I have the single jack, you can just buy a splitter and plug in the splitter. You go on Amazon, and if you need to have separate headphone and microphone jacks, but you only have the one input, a splitter will split those out. On the other hand, if you have a headset and you need to plug, and the headset only comes with one plug because it's got the headphone microphone built in, but your computer doesn't have that, then you can buy a splitter that does the opposite. So either way, you just split it. Or you can just buy USB headset or microphone or speakers and not even deal with the jack either way. So no matter to me. I do not have a preference. Image Ally contributes $5 in Super Chat, says, thanks for the video. It's meant exactly for me. Will it remain up? My intention is for this video to remain up, yes. And my intention is to edit the video from yesterday to shorten it by about 70% as soon as I have time. Paul McIntosh says he buys wireless headsets. There's another option I didn't even think about, but Bluetooth for sure. Thank you for the contribution, Image Ally. Scott says he bought a Corsair 4000 series case for his build. That's a really nice case to build in, especially if it's a gaming PC. I'm with you on that. Do I have any computer builds planned for the upcoming future? Of course, there's always computer builds coming up in the future. Yes. I'm just not doing anywhere near as many. I might only do half dozen a year now instead of a half dozen a month. It's too expensive. Too expensive. And YouTube's, all the views, all the subscriptions, and all the money from YouTube now has reverted back to 2018 levels. So despite having my channel bigger than ever and having more content than ever, I'm making less than half of what I was making from YouTube 4 years ago. So I have to make changes accordingly to the type of content I make that's affordable. It doesn't make any sense to spend $2,000 to make a video that's going to earn me $100 in 30 days. It's just not profitable. It doesn't make any sense. So trying to pivot and find other ways. I've also done a lot of build videos, and they're all mostly the same. And I've had some viewers complaining that it's just like a record on repeat. You just keep watching build after build after build after build. If you really like that sort of thing, Robitech, I think that's his name, is basically doing what I used to do. And he's younger than me and he has more energy than me. Let me see if I can find his channel. Roby ECH, I think that's what his name is here. And he's very good. I recommend his channel wholeheartedly. And let me turn on my window capture. There he is. And he's doing giveaways. He's got sponsors. You know, he did a live $4,000 build 2 days ago. He did a $2,500 build 4 days ago, another $2,000 gaming rig 2 weeks ago. I mean, he's cranking them out. Cranking them out. So if you like that sort of thing, you absolutely want to subscribe to him. And, you know, he's got 263,000 subscribers, which is impressive when you consider he didn't even have a channel 4 years ago, I don't think. Well, no, it says he joined in 2008. That's when pretty much a couple months after I joined. Him and I have a lot in common, but we don't know each other. His name is Justin. He seems like a great guy, though. Anyway, if you're looking for that kind of content, I recommend his channel. If you're not already subscribed, subscribe to him. If you like today's content and you want me to keep it up, you have to let me know by clicking the thumbs up button. If you fail to do that and the video doesn't get enough likes, don't be surprised if I remove it. Also, if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. That way you can be made aware anytime that I'm publishing new content. So you're just going to hit the subscribe button and then you're going to click the bell icon and an option will come up and you have to turn on notifications if you want to be alerted to when I post new videos. If you don't turn on the notifications, you'll just have to look at your Amazon homepage. Not your YouTube. Your YouTube homepage will list all of your subscribers' latest videos by default. And of course, every Friday I do a video at 1 o'clock. So Mondays at 1 o'clock, Fridays at 1 o'clock Pacific time. And then I will make videos Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, Sundays, when my schedule allows for it. I have plenty of content to make. There's no shortage of subject material. However, I also run a computer repair business. And I also have a life where, you know, I have to do things like get haircuts and go to the dentist and go to the doctor's office and fix things that break around the house and et cetera, help the clients that call. I am always busy and I'm always doing something. So lately I've had a little bit of a buildup of content that's gotten to be a big weight on my shoulders, and I'm trying to create a lot of content right now to take down that pile because it's getting a little overwhelming. That's why you've seen a lot of content from me lately, and also because I haven't had any appointments and I haven't had any repairs coming in, so I've had more time to do this. So if there are times where I'm not making videos, it's primarily because some other aspect of my life is monopolizing my time. I can't be in two places at the same time. So that's why that happens. I have a couple mini PCs coming. I've got one from another from AceMagician that's coming. I've got one from a company called Morefine. And I'm reaching out to a few companies, including ASUS, to see if ASUS wants to send us any of their mini PCs. Given all the hatred that ASUS is taking right now, to have a content creator say, hey, want to send me some product? They've always ignored me before. ASUS has always ignored my request. But maybe, given what's going on with ASUS, maybe they'll reevaluate my value. And if they want to send me a machine for free, I'm happy to review it under the same requirements. They're not going to pay me. I'm just going to review it. And based on that, compare it to, some of these other mini PCs. Just like we did with the Geekcom versus that Intel. They're basically the same machine at a $100 price point difference, otherwise identical, other than that $100. And maybe the support is better at Intel, but you shouldn't need it anyway. But that deal through Geekcom was a one-time thing, and I need to follow up because they have a lot of different mini PCs. And there's a company called TrigKey I'm reaching out to, and a couple other mini PC manufacturers, because it's reducing the expense of the content itself. And I'm interested. I'm genuinely interested. Also, as I previously mentioned, I've got those little HP off-lease computers, and those are giveaways that we do for people in need, people in the community, especially veterans, public servants, and people that just need something to get by. These are retired business machines, and they're a few years old, but they're in perfect shape. They're Core i5 6th generation with Windows 10 Pro installed. They've got solid state drives and 8 gigs of RAM. They're relatively snappy, quick little computers for everyday use, and not Windows 11 compatible. So if people want to put Windows 11 on them, Windows 11 will let you. I don't recommend it, but it'll be, if you're a recipient, it's yours to do with as you want. You can give it away. You can use it as a doorstop. The only real rule is you've got to be in the USA, and you can't have received anything from this channel in the past, because we have so many viewers. It's not fair for a viewer to get multiple items while lots of other viewers get nothing. So more details on that will be coming up. And I would rather give away 30 of these little retired mini PCs to 30 different winners than give away one $3,000 gaming PC to one person. That's my attitude. Gaming PCs are not necessary. They're a luxury item, and they're an expensive luxury item. Nobody needs a Rolls Royce. Gaming PCs are kind of like that. If you have the time and you have the money, good for you. But there are people out there that are struggling to make ends meet. They're using an obsolete computer that is dangerous. It's unsafe because of all of the hackers out there. The older the computer is, the easier it is to hack it. And especially if it's running an obsolete operating system. And we want these people to be able to get online safely and show them a little love. Sometimes a little kindness can turn somebody's life around. When it feels like you're down and everybody's against you, and one kind person does one kind thing for you, that can often completely flip their entire life around. For example, I gave away a mini PC to a gentleman that was out of a job, had no income, and was disabled. Upon receiving the computer, he was then able to become a candidate for an online job from Amazon. I don't know if he got the job, but working remotely, since now he had a computer capable of doing that. And he was so thankful. We had a gentleman out in Oklahoma who lost everything to a fire, and the insurance company and everyone's against him, and his life has been just a living nightmare. And I sent him a PC, an off-lease business computer. And he wrote this email about, that's the first kindness he's seen from anybody since this devastating loss of this fire. And it just meant the world to him. And so these are the kind of people we're looking for giving these mini PCs to, these off-lease computers, not as a toy for you to play with. Please, when we do the giveaway, don't nominate yourself for the giveaway if you don't absolutely need it, because you might be taking it away if you're selected from somebody else who does need it. And furthermore, you might be doing yourself a disservice when I have a better giveaway, but since you've already won something, you're no longer qualify for that giveaway, because I want to keep giving things away to people who haven't received anything from the channel before. And, you know, here in the US, I can do that with hardware. For the viewers outside of the United States, we can do this with software. We can do things like giveaways with Windows keys, Office keys, RoboForm licenses, Acronis software. Yeah, all that's coming. So don't waste your one time to win on something that you don't really need. And in the meantime, somebody who does really need it doesn't get it because you were chosen, right? So we can all help each other out and just have this amazing community continue to grow. And my thanks to those who contribute, especially our friend John Wilson there in the chat, who has graciously paid for much of the shipping cost for the free giveaways. Unexpected and totally appreciated. So watch for that coming up. Gary, be careful of people using ChatGPT to create a sob story. Well, it doesn't matter, Patrick, right? First of all, I'm going to talk to the people on the phone. I'm going to make sure they're real people. Secondly, they're only going to be able to win once, regardless. And third, I will tell you, it's a giveaway. It's not a contest. It's not a raffle. So me recognizing your name in the chat room is going to increase your odds of being selected than somebody coming into the chat room I've never seen before. I'm not saying they're not going to be selected. I'm just saying that if I have two different people wanting a giveaway and I have one giveaway to give away and I recognize one of the people as a regular in the chat room and the other person I've never seen before, guess which person I'm going to select. So that's pretty much how I will dole it out. If there's nobody in the community that I recognize nominating themselves, and all the people nominating themselves are all just there for the giveaway and I'll never see them again, that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. Regardless, they're still only going to win one thing. Samuel Kowalski says, I love your 8 terabyte NVMe video from yesterday. Thanks, Samuel. That was a fun review to do. When I posted that, I put a post on Twitter, which, by the way, I post regularly on Twitter when upcoming videos are coming out. So if you're not getting YouTube notifications, consider following me on Twitter and getting the notifications that way. And if I'm dealing with a manufacturer's item, I will tag them, because I can't really tag them in Facebook. But I mean, you can, but Twitter is a little bit more universal. So if I'm reviewing a B-Link mini PC, I always tag B-Link. If I'm reviewing AceMagician, I tag AceMagician on Twitter, so they know. Of course they know, because they provided the computer to me. But Oyen Digital, that makes that 8 terabyte NVMe, they don't know me. They didn't sell me the product. I bought the product from Amazon. But when I tagged them on the link for the upcoming video on Twitter, I saw that they followed me back. So maybe, just maybe, that's the beginning of a conversation that can happen about sending me items for review, where again, they're not paying me, but then I'm also not buying the item. That's usually the first step, is you've got to get them to realize you exist. And how do you do that? You know, by sending an email? Maybe, but a lot of email just goes into the spam folder, or, you know, Asus, for example, their PR department has never, ever responded to me, not once, over numerous years. And I just quit trying. But I thought, with all the controversy and hatred being spewed by people online about Asus lately, maybe they'll look at me differently and I can benefit from it. We'll see how that goes. But thank you for the kind words. I appreciate that. I got to reach out to Geekom as well and see if they want to send any more PCs for review. John Wilson says, Gary, it's been my honor to be able to contribute to this channel now for well over 5 years, and God willing, I will be here for another 5. You and me both, my friend. Thank you. Don't say it enough. Do I go live on Twitter as well? Sometimes I do, but that's typically when I'm doing interviews because I'll use StreamYard.com instead of OBS. Actually, I still use OBS, but OBS isn't the broadcast. OBS is just how I control all the cameras. When I use StreamYard, I can simulcast the videos to LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitch and YouTube at the same time. I could pay for a service like Restream.io and do that through OBS, but the answer to your question is yes, on occasion. The problem is I don't get very many viewers on Twitter, so it's just like sprinkles. If I have the ability to simulcast to Twitter, when I'm doing it anyway, it's not adding any expense, then I do. But when it does add expense, then I don't, okay? Because it's not worth the 25 views I get. I'd rather do it here on YouTube where I get thousands of views. But there are previous videos that were live on my Twitter page, and they're generally all interviews that were done with StreamYard. Yeah, Easy Otter said, it's glad to hear you're doing more Geekom videos. I don't know. I'm telling you I'm going to look into it, but Geekom hasn't made any offers. So I have to kind of poke them with a stick. And if they say yes, then I'll make some more. And if they say no, then I won't. Unless anybody wants to buy one and ship it to me. And then when I'm done with it, I'll ship it to you and you can have it. There's Alan Lindis joining us in the chat room, says hello and contributes $7.77. He says, hello, Gary, in chat. Here's my late fee again and a cold Gatorade for you. Hey, right on. Thank you, Alan. VR wants to know what brings in more revenue for you, the streams or the old build videos? The streams. The old build videos might bring in, like if you combine all of them together in one big lump over 30 days, $10, maybe $50 in a month combined. It's only the new content that does well, and it does it for the first week, and then it just falls. So we have to keep making new content. Let that get the maximum amount of views it's going to get in that first week. And every once in a while, an old video will start to flourish, but it's very, very unusual. Hey, there's Mitch Morrison joining us in the chat room. What did the Panther say at the poker party? I'd be a lion if I said I was a cheetah. But up bump. Mouse Hunter says, I hope Asus reaches out to you. Oh, I guarantee you Asus will not reach out to you. I'll tell you right now, they will not. But I will reach out to them, and let's hope they don't ignore me, because that's what they do. I don't get any response. So let's hope Asus responds. That'd be a step in the right direction. And then let's hope that when they respond, they say, yeah, we'd send you some items to review. Whether they do or, before they say they're going to send me something, they have to respond to me. So we have to at least get a response, which I have never, ever gotten a response. So yeah, let's hope they get back to me. Luke Greenia says, reaching out to those companies sounds like a lot of footwork. I really appreciate your hard work on our behalf, and thank you. Well, guess what? I'm not doing it anymore. I got Camera Girl doing that. So I say, hey, Camera Girl, why don't you reach out to Geekom? Why don't you reach out to Asus? Why don't you reach out? And she's been doing it, and she's been doing a great job. And I will tell you, For every dozen companies we reach out to, we likely only hear back from 1 or 2. And it's very discouraging. You know, at some point it's like, why do I even bother trying? But that's how you build a relationship, is they'll respond to you. And if they get the way I'm making the content and how unique it is, and it's resulting in sales for them, then they don't care how I'm making the content, right? As long as it's generating sales or clicks, they'll keep coming back. But but sometimes a company says, we don't like the way you're doing it. It's too amateurish. It doesn't look polished enough. They want a commercial and they don't want to pay for it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not the right guy for you then. You know what I mean? Like, let's not work together. And they want to tell me how to make my video. Let me show you, let me do what I do, and you do what you do, and give me an opportunity to show you the impact it can have. And a lot of times they're just not interested. Nope. So in that case, I take money earned from Amazon commissions, money earned from sales of like Windows Office keys, RoboForm licenses, et cetera, and Amazon gift cards that many of you generously contribute. And I go to Amazon and I buy things that I want to review where the companies aren't participating or responding, and I'll buy it and review it anyway, whether they like it or not. That gets super expensive. I've got a video that's nothing but 12 hours of me building computers. One video. And I did that for people that just can't get enough builds and to test the boundaries of YouTube, because YouTube says 12 hours is the maximum upload. So I made a video that was 12 hours and 2 minutes long, and YouTube said not allowed. So I had to shave it down. I had to end it cleanly, as close as I can get to 12 hours. And it was a massive file. And that file also has to be underneath a maximum file size, which I was testing that boundary, and sure enough, that's enforced. And that was my challenge. And so I also did that with, I think there's 12 hours of repair videos. There's like a video that's 160 of my quick tips videos all stitched together. So you can just hit play and listen to it in the background. Patrick Russoff says, I call that 12-hour video bedtime stories with Uncle Carrie. Yeah, that doesn't sound creepy. All right, guys, I guess that's going to wrap it up for me. Thank you so much for hanging out. And I'll share, if I get any other information than what I'm expecting from AceMagician's support, I think they're just going to direct me to that link that I just showed you in that minipcunion.com forum. I think that's all they're going to do. They're going to send me the link and say, here it is. I don't think they're going to direct me to that forum. I think they're just going to copy and paste the link. So I got there on my own without waiting for them. And I've shown you how all that works. And I'm going to hold on to that file in perpetuity in case anything happens with them or the Google Drive that they're using to transfer their files. And I'll put it in my Google Drive. So if that site should ever go down, I'll share it upon request to individuals that ask for it. But if you ask for it and it's still available where I've already shown you, you're going to upset me, because there's no reason to involve me in it if you can go grab it yourself. All right. I'm offering to help if that's not working. That's all. Please don't abuse me. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Have you called your mother? Happy Mother's Day. Thank you for all the contributions. Thank you to all my friends here in the chat room, all my friends in blue and green, friends in white that I haven't turned blue yet. Keep participating in the chat. Become a regular here. Be kind. Always be kind. I don't care how smart you are. I don't care how dumb you are, or how dumb you think you might be, or how smart you think you might be. I don't care how old you are or how young you are. I don't care what religion you are or what gender you are or what race you are. I don't care. Just be kind. Rise above. Show human kindness here in the chat room, and I will recognize you and turn you blue, because we want you to be a part of this amazing community, but not if you're a jerk. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all very, very soon. Until next time.